Hi, you're welcome to this DSA um, exercise. My name is Elogene, and I am a software developer, a software engineer. So I'm going to be walking you through this exercise titled Jaden Strings. Jaden Strings. So this is the question. But before I start, I would like to let you know that I am assessing this question from Code Wars. If you are totally new to DSC, I would try all that I can within the time frame to explain in detail how I will go through this exercise. And if you're an expert just trying to refresh your memory, feel free to comment any other method or suggestions that you have. All right, so here's the question. Jaden Smith, the son of Will Smith, is the star of films such as The Karate Kid in 2010 and After Earth in 2013. Jaden is also known for some of his philosophy that he delivers via Twitter. Now, when writing on Twitter, he is known to almost always capitalize every word. For simplicity, you'll have to capitalize each word. Check out how contractions are expected to be in the example below. Your task is to convert strings to how they would be written by Jaden Smith. The strings are actual codes from Jaden Smith and they are not capitalized in the same way you originally typed them. Right, so in the example here, we have a non-Jaden-Cased string. And from what I can see, a non-Jaden-Cased string is a string that contains a text where only the first letter of the sentence or text is capitalized, while the rest are not capitalized. But for the Jaden-Cased string, we have the first letter of I can see here that the first letter of each word is capitalized. Now we're expecting a string that is non-Jaden-Cased. I'm expecting or receiving a string that is non-Jaden-Cased, and I am expected to output a string that is Jaden-Cased. All right. So I can see here how the input is coming in. It's not like a regular function where the where I could access the value from the name from the parameter passed in. Rather, it's coming in as a prototype of the string class. All right, so going through the test panel here, I can see that there is a string, and then the string is called on by this particular method or function, right? As a method that tells me, okay, so yeah, it's been assessed as a class using the string class. The string class, the default class in JavaScript, and so Jaden-Case here is acting on the string as though it's acting on a string class, as though the str value there resides in the string class. So because it is a string, it is regarded as part of the string class. And to access to access values in a class, we would usually use the this keyword. And that means rather than looking for something like this, I could just say this rather than saying this. Okay, so I'm not really comfortable working with the IDE provided by Wars here because it doesn't allow me to console log. I could say that, or I could also say that I'm not really conversant with how to console log here on Code Wars, as I really need to see what's happening on each step as I walk through the solution, as well as show you what's happening each step of the way. So I'm going to do this on Code Pen. So to save time, I've already done the initial setup where I have a function called Jaden-Casing, taking in a string, right? This is the way that if you're a newbie or if you're quite new, this is the way you might be really conversant with, working with functions, right? And that means we can easily access the value. I can easily access the value from the parameter name. Yeah. Okay, so now, looking at what we have a string that is not Jaden-Cased, and I'm meant to return a string that is Jaden-Cased. Now, it means that I have to iterate through this string, go through the string by using for a loop, yeah, thereabout. And then after iterating, what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to check for a condition and then apply something. based on the condition, right? Do something, apply an action, take an action due to the condition. So now the condition I can see that would enable me achieve the output is to check using a for loop. I could iterate through, I could check for spaces and then target the next letter after the space, the next position after the space, where I can then, when the targeting it, I can convert the later character on that position to uppercase. That would work fine, I think. I could test that out. And I can see that there is also an edge case because I already have the first letter capitalized. What of a case where I don't have this first letter of the sentence of the string capitalized and I don't have a space? It means I'm going to only capitalize the first letter of each of these words here only without having this capitalized. It's an edge case I just took note of. So it means checking for spaces, moving to the next position and capitalizing the next position after the cases might not work well if this edge case needs to be satisfied. So in other words, that would not work. So what can I do? I think here, from what I see, I could, rather than checking for spaces, I could just split this string into array of words and then treat each word with no exemption. With the spaces, there will be exemptions. Really, I'm going to be exempting this part. So if I'm working word by word, it means I'm not going to exempt any word and I can capitalize each of the first letters of the words easily. All right, so let's get to it. So the next thing to do, remember I said that I will be iterating through, and to iterate through, I could iterate through a string. It's possible. I could do that, but for time, I will not be doing that. But if I want to change or modify something, it will not be possible. I cannot tweak that except I have to convert that string to an array. If that is possible now, you can let me know. But the last time I tried, that did not work. So I'm going to do that and permit me to just call out this let word equals this. So to convert this to an array, I would use the split method. All right, good. And I can show to you the result of doing that. Okay, so I'll just do that and then run the code. Here in my console, I'm expecting the result. Good. Whoa, now I can see that I have each letter as an item in this list, in this array. That is not what I want. The only thing I could do if I have to work with this is to check for the spaces. You see the spaces? They're also represented here as a character or as an item. I can check for them and then move to the next position and capitalize it. This arrow means real, you can see, and capitalize this. After the space, just capitalize this. The next space here, right, capitalize M. But there is no space here, and if H was passed in as a lowercase, that would make our solution incorrect. So now what will I do? What I expected was to have how can mirrors be real? Each of the words spelled out, not each of the letters as items, but each of the words as items. Well, to achieve that, all I need to do is to include space. So that is, I'm splitting on each space. At each space, I'm going to split into, I'm going to split whatever was before and after that space, and have that whole value as an item. So I'll run the code and I will see the result here. Yeah, so how can mirrors be blah blah blah, and I have, rather than having letters individually as an item, I have words, right, as items. So mission accomplished. The next thing to do will be to iterate, like I said, go one after the other, capitalize, and when I do that, I think I will be capitalizing each of the first letters, and let's do that. So to iterate, I could use a for loop, or I could use map, right? For loop map would work just fine, but I'm going to use map. Like I said, for people who are new to these things, it will be a good thing to know how to use map, right? So let's check map. So I'm going to use words, sorry, here. Pardon me, because it's like an array of words, right? So I want my variable name to kind of synchronize with what I have, an array of words. So I'm going to say words. Now, before I do this, again, map function would pick each item in an array, act upon it, and return the result to another array as a new array. So if it's returning the result as a new array, it means I need to be one step ahead to be able to store the new array somewhere, right? And that's the reason why I will be creating new array here. So I'm going to say temp, like a temporary array probably, and I'll just say words dot map. I'm calling the map function on this array, so I can pick each of the values in the array, each of the items in the array, and do something. So this is how I'm going to pick it. I'm going to pick it by including a function with an arrow function. Just imagine I have this, right? So this is like a function. This is a function actually, right? So the function is going to pick in a parameter, and the parameter is going to be word. I could say each. Each is my favorite. Each, like each of the items in words. Each of the items in words. So, but I'm just. Can I stick to this? All right. So each, like I say, each word, right? So I think that makes sense. So each word, and so I'm picking it as it's being passed in. Like I said, the map will pass in each item. So I'm going to pick it here inside this function, inside the map method, and then I'm going to do something what I like, right? What I intend to do to this, and then I should return something. Anything I return is going to be stored in an array and then saved here. So it's going to keep storing in a new array until it's done, and then the new array is going to be stored in this variable. So here now it occurred to me that for the sake of people who need to understand this, better, they're new to this, I appreciate you, welcome to the world. I'll just create an empty array so they just can see that it's expecting an array, and then I come here to update the array. Okay, I hope this makes much more sense. So here, I'm going to do something. I want to capitalize the first letter, the first letter of each word. To do that, I'm going to use the to each, to uppercase method. So it's going to be each word, but how do I access the first character of each word? How do I do that? I'm going to make use of a method called chart 0, position 0. So I'm not going to talk so much about positioning here, but let me breeze in. By position 0, I mean 0, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? 9 positions. That's from 0. That means 0 is the first one. So it means that in this word, position 0 is M, right? Okay, we move from there. And since I've accessed the first character in that word, I'm going to say to uppercase. So when I say dot to uppercase, it means I'm going to do something, right? I want to do something just like the way I'm doing map on words. I'm doing something. I'm taking an action on words, right? You know what map does. Now, I'm taking an action on the first letter of each word, right? I know what action does. It just converts it to uppercase. So that's what I'm doing. Now, when you have something like this, whatever the result is will be returned and saved in a temporary array that would eventually, when it's done, when map is done, be saved in our temp array, which is great. But at this moment, is this a value? This is just a function. I'm doing something on something. So if I should console log temp array, I'm going to have an array of functions. So I'll test it out for you. Okay. So if you are new to coding or DSA and you find this really useful, remember to subscribe, give a thumbs up, and just comment. Great work. All right. So because explanations. Okay. Now, beautiful. So, oh, beautiful. So I have returned each word. Okay. So just scrap what I just said. I've returned each of the first letters, like the first letters of each word. So what happens is I'm returning each word on this position that has been turned to an uppercase. Okay. But for newbies, this might be, I hope newbies isn't insultive to you. It's just a better way to just say if you are new, okay? So with respect. Now, this might look too, too paraphrased. for someone who's new. But this is how it is. So because we have just one line of code, we don't need to include the return keyword. It just knows whatever it is we should return. But I want to do something, and that means we're not going to have one line, we're going to have multiple lines. So I need to enclose this in a curly bracket. It's a function, remember, right? So what I want to do is do something like this. Let's first later equals this. And then I can return first later. Okay, missing something. Oh, okay. All right. All right. So if I do this, I'm also going to get the same value. I'm going to get the same results. Okay. So I just showed you two ways. When it's a single line, how it works, and I can still do the same thing, right? So you can pause, rewind a little, go through what I just did to understand what just happened. I'm not going to dwell here for long. So I'm moving to the next thing. So now you can see that we have each of the first letters returned and capitalized. So what happened? Where's the rest of the family? Where's the rest of the words? So in order to do that, it means we're going to return first letter plus the rest of the word. So if I say return first letter, let's say let result equals first letter plus each word, right? And then I return result. Remember, I'm console logging temp arrow. If you're wondering how I'm getting this, I'm console logging it. I'm logging it on my console. It is not this result that is showing. It is after returning all the results for each word saved in a temporary array and then now stored in this temp array. Temporary array is from temp array. I call it temp array. I call it your name. I call it my name. So it's saved there, and then I'm console logging what has been saved. Okay, so I'll run the code because I just said let the result be first letter plus each word. It's going to return result for each of the words, and then we're console logging temp R, sorry. So when I run this code, what are we going to see? What has been stored in temp R? I'm having HHOW. See, like I have the first letter of each word repeated. No. That's not what we're expecting. That's not what we want to see. That's not what we should see. So we want, in order to do that, it means that we need to find a way to delete the first letter of each word that is in lowercase, that is not capitalized. And we're going to use a method called, I'm going to use a method called slice. The slice method will do this, will slice the array or slice the word like a bread, like you slice bread. Now what happens is if this is position 0, position 1, position 2, position 3, like that, if I want to take out H, that is position 0, I would say slice position 1. It means I want to start from 1 to the end. So 0, position 0 is therefore deleted, discarded. I'm not going to say slice position 0. I'm going to include the position that I want to stop or start from, that is, start from the case of reveal or stop in the case of discard. Okay. So I'm going to do something. Rather than saying first letter plus each word, I'm going to say each word dot slice, right? And stop it at 1. Yeah. So now this might look some bizarre to someone here. So I'm going to say let rest character or leftovers equal this. So you see the first letter gotten, rest gotten. So it's just each word that has the first letter discarded, sliced out. And now, if you look at this code, what am I going to have after this plus? What am I going to add to it? What do you think I should add to it? It's just first letter plus leftovers, isn't it? Leftovers. So if I should run this code, you'd see that I would have in my temp array, I'll have this. I'll have this. Why is it taking so long? Okay, let's say I didn't run correctly, but I'm going to have an array of each words that have their first letters capitalized. Good. Looks like we've got it right, but just one step more, one more step. And it has to do with understanding that we must stick to rules when it comes to the input format and the output format. We are expected to output a string, not an array of words. We took in a string and we meant to output a string. We're just doing some conversions. So we cannot output an array of words. And that shows that it's the final step for me here. So now that I have in my temp R an array of words in the correct format, the expected format, I need to convert what I have, this array, back. Remember, I converted string, where is it? Here, to an array. So I'm going to convert this array, this temp array that stores what we need, but in an array form, to a string. So to do that, permit me, I'm just going to update that, or I'm just going to say let result be equals final. Oh, no. Temp r dot, what's it going to be? Join, join, join. Join. That is the function or method that helps us do that. So I'm going to console log results now. We don't console log in temp array. If I console log temp array, I'm going to see an array of words. When I console log result, I'm going to see a string, right, made up of the words that exists in temp array. All right. So when I run this code, this is what we have. This is what we'll see what we have now. Okay, it's taking some time. Network issues, probably. Okay, so I'm hitting that the third time. Well, that's taking long. All right, so we have here as how can, like, we have our result modeled up in this manner, which isn't good. That's not what we expected to do. So again, as we had it in split, right, it's the same. Your space or whatever you include in this codes, influence your results or your outcome greatly. So in order to have spaces in between, I need to say join with spaces. So for each of the items, we bring in each of the items and join them with spaces. If I do not do that, if I just have a closed up quotes, it's just going to close everything up for me. So I will run this and hopefully should have it the way we should expect. We're expected to return it. So good, it's working well. So now we can just transfer this back to code wars where we started from. So I'm going to include this. I'm doing this so that I can test it out by their standard. Now remember, we're having repetition here. This and this. Well, the correct format is this one because of how the function was written, right? I explained that at the beginning of the video. It means I'm going to take this out. It's the same. I use the same words, right? So I'm splitting the string, right? The value in the class, the string class, which is this. I'm splitting it. It's the same thing. Just where I was splitting the value in the parameter. All right. So I'm splitting variable in the string class. And to do that, I'm not going to use, there's no parameter name other than just to use this. All right, then I'm going to change this. One more thing, to change this to return. Right. I'm not console logging. I'm returning my answer back to get to them, right? To whatever. I'm just returning the answer to the test to the test exactly, and then it's going to compare with my answer. What it gets here is going to compare it with this, right? And then it's going to check if we passed or failed. This is what is expected. This is what's happening. So whatever is returned here is going to compare. So it said test dot set equals if this one is equals to this one, and then we're good to go. So we would finalize that by clicking on tests here. Oh, we have, okay. All right, let's see. Yeah, we have it passed. All right, so that's all. So to move to another challenge, I'll just click attempt. But that I will look at in the next video, the next DSA video. So thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this, if you benefited from this, this was nice to you, then hit like, subscribe, and just leave a comment. Say great work, thanks, and everything. And I was sure to click on your names and also subscribe if I find what you're doing interesting as well. So I'll subscribe to your channel. All right, see you in the next video. For now, happy coding.